All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome in. We are looking at another excellent day on the internet. Probably should get my lighting sorted out, but that's okay. I think we're gonna go with this. Ooh, it's getting really bright. Like it's getting brighter as I just open it up. Welcome in, welcome in. So, today on the internet. Of course, as usual, I'm quite scared of Twitter at the moment. Bring that down. We have more Israel. Of course, Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin, which I know for sure is not didn't go. I don't know. Maybe it went exactly how people thought it would go, but also too, which is not good in a way. It seemed like I've only heard a little bit of it, and I'm not gonna listen to it today. We won't listen to it on stream, but I will listen to it a little bit later and maybe give my thoughts. All right, so we will be going over, of course, just the regular news for the day. A little bit later, we'll be jumping into possibly some Overwatch stuff. We'll see how the day goes. Kind of just float around it from there. I should probably find this too. Let's go to copyright so we can have something just hanging out in the background. Something chill, something. Give me some copyright free. 52 minutes. For now, this will work. And we have a few major articles. Maybe this is a little bit too. Bring the volume. How's it going, Culprit? How's your day been today? What have you been up to? How's the week been looking like? We have made it to Friday, but of course, famous internet people like you don't have Fridays, do they? Just non-stop work. How are you doing, Culprit? We have technology. Is this actually an article? That's the article. Give me the headline, not the actual article. Playing Diablo? Is that what that is? Diablo 4? I would assume. That's my guess. I went to the gym, worked out a little bit. Yeah, you're always working, sucks but needed. I feel that. I think my stream delays are funky. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's like a manual delay or something. I feel like stream delays are really bad right now. I feel like it. Or Culprit's really slow at typing. One of the two. But you can see, of course, when you type in chat how quickly that comes up. Let's do a quick little test here. A blurbity blurbity blurb. Oh, that comes up almost right away. Or no, wait. Look, of course my... OBS pop it up right away. Try this again. Both. Yeah, stream delays a little bit funky today. Maybe it's because I am loading it out and Well, we are doing 1440, which I know Twitch really doesn't like. So we'll roll with it for now. It's not too bad. It's less than a minute. I think it is less than 30 seconds. And weird, my word updating. Huh, that's okay. We'll roll with it anyways. All right. So. Bring this. We're gonna do our regular news reads today. Of course, I don't even know what's going on in the world at the moment. I've just immediately opened up different articles. Doing headlines. More GeekWire stuff. TechCrunch. Oh, okay, we'll go digging through some of these and see what the news is here. White House touts 11 billion U.S. semiconductor R&D program. So immediately I know, of course, just context, especially with COVID, and especially also too with the fact that most semiconductors are actually made overseas. The Americans are starting to realize that they need to have some form of semiconductors built at home, or else if there's a war or if there's some kind of conflict, they're going to be left without some of their most vital computers. Washington, February 9th, Reuters. The White House on Friday touted the U.S. government's plan to spend $11 billion on semiconductor-related research and development, and said it was launching the $5 billion National Semiconductor Technology Center. Congress in August 22nd approved the landmark Chips and Science Act. The law provides that $52.7 billion, including $39 billion in subsidies for semiconductor production and $11 billion research and development. $11 billion research and development. It also creates a 25% investment tax credit for building chip plants, estimated to be worth $24 billion. The centerpiece of the R&D program is the National Semiconductor Technology Center, which will conduct research and prototyping of advanced semiconductor technology. The center is a public-private partnership. The government, industry customers, suppliers, academics, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists to come together to innovate, connect, network, solve problems, and allow Americans to compete and outcompete the world. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said at the White House event. The 2022 law also creates the National Advanced Packaging Manufacturing Program, a new manufacturing USA focused on semiconductors. Raimondo on Monday says Commerce plans to make several major awards to fund chip manufacturing within months. We're in the process of really complicated, challenging negotiations with companies, Raimondo told Reuters in an interview. She did not identify the companies. The next 6 to 8 weeks, you will see more announcements. That's what we're striving for. Semiconductor manufacturing program is intended to subsidize chip production, related supply chain investments. The awards will help build factories and increase production. These are highly complex, first-of-their-kind facilities. In the U.S., Raimondo said, nothing that TSMC, Samsung, and Intel are among other companies that have proposed them. These are new generation investments, size, scale, complexity that's never been done before in this country, Raimondo said. Local investments, of course, into computers are a good thing. Semiconductors are a good thing. Like I said before, there's a big issue, especially too, where a lot of computers are actually made in Taiwan, and being right beside China. If China does decide to walk on in, take everything, who knows how the United States might actually respond, which they'll probably be pretty passive about it. But they're gonna have to build a lot of these at home, or else risk the higher risk of having semiconductor production overseas. New chip machines, dollar Market shrugs off inflation revision data. Dollar eases. Market shrugs off inflation revision data. New York, London, February 9th. The dollar eased on Friday as it headed for a fourth week of gains, while traders reduced their bets on how quickly the Bank of Japan might raise interest rates and how soon the Federal Reserve will cut them. Traders shrugged off revised U.S. monthly consumer prices that rose less than initially estimated in December. While underlying inflation remains a bit warm, the mixed picture did not alter the market's outlook on the timing of the Fed rate cuts. The annual revisions published by the Labor Department also showed the consumer price index increasing slightly more than previously reported in October and November. The revisions aren't going to make the Fed cut rates, said Chudo, U.S. chief economist at Mizuho Securities USA LLC in New York. The market's in a rush, but the Fed is sitting there saying we're not in a rush. Actually, things are really good from their perspective, he said. The dollar fell 0.7% to 104.04, while the euro was up 0.08% to $0.785. The widely anticipated revisions from more economists are too small to matter to the market, said Mark Chandler, chief marketing strategist at Bannockburn Global Forex in New York. We have had a big move this week. I think we're just consolidating the FX market, he said. The market last year got too aggressive above how far the Fed's going to cut and when they're going to begin. Fed officials this week signaled the US central bank has no pressuring need to cut rates. The message gave the dollar an extra tailwind that pushed the yen to a 10-week low as traders reduced bets on how quickly the Bank of Japan might raise rates. Bank of Japan Governor Kuzo Uda said on Friday there was a high chance for easy monetary conditions to persist, even after the central bank ends its negative interest rate policy, which the market expects to happen as early as next month. The yen was little changed at 149.32 per dollar after trading at the 149.575 earlier, its weakest since November 27th. It is heading for about a 0.64% slide this week, having fallen in value 5 weeks out of the last 6 weeks. Japanese Finance Minister Kunichi Suzuki said he was watching FX moves carefully, uttering a well-worn phrase for the first time since January 19th. Traders were unfazed by the warning. Next major scheduled U.S. data release is CPI for January on Tuesday. Traders have all but ruled out a cut at the Fed's next policy meeting versus a chance at the 65.9% a month ago. According to CME's Group Fed Watch tool, it shows around a 60% chance of a cut by the Fed at its May meeting. Sterling rose 0.15% to $1.2635. Both the euro and the pound have been relatively resilient this week, with officials from the European Central Bank and Bank of England pushing back against the market wagers on early production. The Swiss franc weakened to 0.8747, with the dollar up about 0.93% on the safe haven currency this week as traders digested data suggesting the Swiss National Bank could be intervening in markets to weaken the franc. Bitcoin rose 4.9% to $47,549 after earlier hitting a high of 48,180. Let's just take a look at the currency markets right now. Going to Bloomberg. I have to register for this. No, we're not doing that. Totally. I could open it up in. I could open it up in incognito. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna get charts. The Japanese. Let's check this out. So it does look like the Japanese might be recovering. It is on a steady growth, though, in comparison to... How far does this go back? 2006. We're going to too much detail. Good Lord. Cisco to cut thousands of jobs to focus on a high growth area. Disney harnesses AI to drive streaming ad technology. OpenAI hits 2 billion revenue. Excuse me, guys. Wikipedia, U.S. agencies declare clone. Here we go. This is what I wanted to. This is a really important one. U.S. agency declares AI clone voice robocalls illegal. Washington, February 8th, Reuters. Calls made with AI-generated voices are illegal, the Federal Communications Commission said on Thursday, after a fake robocall imitating President Joe Biden sought to dissuade people from voting for him in New Hampshire Democratic primary election. The declaratory ruling gives State Attorney General new tools to go after the entities behind the robocalls, FCC Chair Jessica Rosen-Worcel said. Bad actors are using AI-generated voices and unsolicited robocalls to extort vulnerable family members, imitate celebrities, and misinform voters. We're putting the fraudsters behind these robocalls on notice, Rosen-Worcel said. This is good, make this illegal right out the gate. Because right now there's, well, it being a gray zone, of course, people can pretty much imitate any voice and get away with it. Hopefully we see this more in Canada too, because if I was to pull my phone up, you guys would see I just have lists and lists and lists of robocallers. Once they start being able to imitate people, like imagine my mother, or imagine like another family member, or imagine my boss, or imagine my landlord, that's where things would really start to break down. And we are getting closer and closer to that type of world. The FCC noted that state attorneys general previously could target the outcome of unwanted AI voice-generated robocall. The new action makes the act of using AI to generate voice in these robocalls itself illegal. I think this is actually a good thing, even though the phone services are considered kind of a little bit of a public arena in terms of conversation. I believe for sure that if we're going to be building a system like the phone system, we need to guarantee that people are using it for voice calls. And as a regular term of moderation with any type of system, you have to guarantee that there are voices on actual people on either end of the conversation. The usage of the phone service as a shitty internet, which is what a lot of these scammers are kind of using it as, where they can just pump out content, pump out information, pump out garbage information. We're paying for it every single time. Of course, even some cases, they are actually, well, they're scamming people. So how do they make their money? Well, they make their money from taking from people from our society. So just making this outright illegal and at least forcing somebody to be on the other side of that call helps a lot. The internet is the place for public speech, for free speech. Hopefully, but not the phone service. That's a completely different thing. Earlier this week, New Hampshire Attorney General John Formella said the fake Biden robocalls has been traced back to Texas-based Life Corp. He said a cease and desist letter has been sent to the company run by Walter Monk, and criminal investigation is underway. What is this company? Texas-based Life Corp. What do they do? I don't even think the website loads up. Oh. Website is slowly loading. World is so weird. Why would a medical company doing robocalls about Biden? Use of generative AI has brought a fresh threat to voter suppression schemes. The campaign season with the heightened believability of fake robocalls. Democratic FCC Commissioner Jeffrey Stark said, "Voice cloning," the FCC said, "can convince a called party that a trusted person or someone they care about, such as a family member, wants or needs them to take some action that they would not otherwise take." The FCC in 2023 finalized a $5.1 million fine levied on conservative activists for making more than 1,100 illegal robocalls ahead of the 2020 U.S. election. The calls sought to discourage voting by telling potential voters that if they voted by mail, their personal information will be part of a public database that will be used by police departments to track down old warrants and can be used by credit card companies to collect outstanding debts. Very sneaky, very evil, very interesting. Anything else major? We've got losses, Take-Two, more AI risks. Rare Russian index. What? Probably a Russian company. Bankrupt. Genesis Global settles new. Okay. We're done with routers for today. GeekWire. Struggling over minimum wage law tests the economics of food delivery in Seattle. A new minimum wage law for gig workers in Seattle and the subsequent response from tech companies changing the dynamics of food delivery in the city. As the law went into effect last month, companies such as Uber, DoorDash, and Instacart responded by adding new fees for customers in Seattle, adjusting tip mechanisms. A regulatory response fee? Yeah. We've been talking with key stakeholders this week to understand how the new law and response tech platforms are playing out across the city, changing the economics of food. Many consumers are frustrated with additional fees. Reddit users say they are ordering less and opting to pick up their orders or deleting the apps altogether. Fast casual pasta restaurant Du Cucina and salad chain Evergreen told GeekWire they're seeing around a 15% decrease in delivery order or third-party delivery orders, which is good because these companies have gotten way too greedy and they're charging way too much and they're paying the drivers way too little. Reaction from the drivers is mixed. Wei Lin, a longtime app-based delivery driver, said he's earning more with the new minimum wage law, for example. But another driver, Tony Illis, said he's earning less and that demand is dead. This week he launched his own delivery service touting lower fees. This is very smart. Tony delivers. Why don't more people do this? I totally believe that more of these Uber drivers should create websites. This is great. What is this? Like, he's made his own website. Tony delivers. You can book right away. He's got his regular route, it looks like, with every single place that he delivers from. Hey Tony, can you deliver my food from on the Space Needle? Sure thing. I like this. This is the type of internet stuff I love seeing. Seattle is one of the first cities to implement this type of minimum wage. New York City passed a similar ordinance last year. Seattle's law, originally approved in 2022, enforces a minimum per minute and minimum per mile amount for app-based workers. DoorDash and Instacart say this amounts at least $26 per hour, higher than the citywide 1997 wage. That is a crazy minimum wage. That's almost $30 an hour Canadian. That's minimum wage. Wow. $26 an hour. I guess Seattle's an expensive place to live, but maybe it's just Canadian. I was used to getting paid less. That's unbelievable. The intent of the ordinance was to provide worker protections. Some studies show that gig workers, treated as an independent contractor, are sometimes paid less than minimum wage or subject to poor working conditions. App-based workers help fuel our city's economic engine and deserve fair wages like any other worker, Seattle's Office of Labor Standards said in a statement. An Uber spokesman told GeekWire on Thursday there had been a steady decline in demand from customers, resulting in couriers spending on average 30% more time waiting for delivery work than before the ordinance went into effect. Holper just says they just upped our minimum wage for fast food starting at $20 an hour. That is unbelievable. That is a lot. I'm doing the conversion to the Canadian dollar, and here we have $16 an hour minimum wage, which is like $10 an hour US. But it is good also too, because a lot of these companies, they stopped hiring experts. They thought they traded stability inside their company for more instant money. So a lot of these companies no longer have experts anymore. Everybody's just a gig worker. The entire company is just for gig workers. Do I believe minimum wage helps with that? Not really. But to have a company, good workers and quality service, you gotta have experts and you gotta pay them more. So, however, Hilary Welthing, an economist at the Economic Policy Institute, said more data is needed to fully determine the impact of the new law. I would push back against the idea that this is hurting drivers. We don't know that yet. I'll push back on the idea that it's hurting drivers. Probably relatively good for those consistent drivers that are working all the time and that know the system and that they can work with it. I will argue it's probably not good for the city. But I'm not going to go rant in the details about that. I don't think it might not be as productive for the city as they think it is. But what do I know? A key issue in this decision by the delivery companies to increase fees for customers in response to the law instead of subsidizing the cost themselves, taking a bigger cut from restaurants. The higher cost for consumers will test the price elasticity for demand for food delivery in Seattle, says Vladimir Dashkiv, an assistant professor of economics at Seattle University. If demand is high, price sensitivity, especially for small orders, then you would expect that demand will shrink. If demand is highly price sensitive, especially for small orders, then you would expect that demand to shrink, he said. Studies show that lower income customers tend to use food delivery apps more frequently. Another factor to consider is the potential for an increased supply of workers driven by the promise of higher pay. If the number of orders doesn't go up, more of those drivers are going to be off the clock, earning nothing because they don't have an order to deliver, said Jacob Vigdor, professor of public policy and governance at the University of Washington. Working Washington, a nonprofit that supported the ordinance, said in a statement that new fees instituted by the delivery companies are a clear attempt to distract from the fact that their business model is built on paying workers almost nothing while their CEOs and shareholders make millions. Although that is the point of the company, right? I see this argument a lot with companies, but that is the purpose of the company. And to like, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's good to spend all of your money taking money from the company. I think it's more valuable to create a company that's consistent and profitable, but that's not the world we live in. And to claim anything else from these companies is a little bit bad faith. Uber this week reported its first full year profit as a public company, with the net income of $1.8 billion. Gross bookings for its delivery business, which includes Uber Eats, grew 19% year over year to $17 billion in the fourth quarter. DoorDash, which reported a 27% increase in revenue to $2.2 billion, its most recent quarter, is still not profitable. In a blog post last month, DoorDash said, "We warned the city that while well-intentioned, extreme policies would have adverse effects on all members of our community, Dashers, merchants, and..." Long gone is the company where the owner of the company can have a quaint house and have that business, that company, run for 100 years and just pay for a good life. These guys are focused on maximum return. And when they do complain, what they're complaining about is, my $120,000 a year salary should be $150,000 a year. They're not talking about the guys who are making $30,000 a year, jumping up to $40,000. That is not what they care about at all. So it is a little bit of a hand-wavy trick that they're doing, where they're going, we might not be profitable. What they really mean is that there's a few hundred people circled around with the CEO in the middle, but he's not the perpetrator of this. A few hundred people are worried about their payouts, and their payouts in comparison to a few thousand people who are the investors. They're not really worried too much about the quality of the company or the services that are being applied with the company, which is frustrating. Again, it's not a long-term vision, and that's not what these companies are. They're not long-term. Our hope is the newly elected council will come to the table in search of a solution that works better for Dashers, merchants, and consumers in Seattle, a DoorDash spokesperson said in a statement this week. The company fought the minimum wage in New York City, made similar changes to their apps, such as only allowing tips after checkout. Once that ordinance was implemented, drivers said the changes could reduce their hours and limit long-term earnings, Bloomberg reported in December. Evergreen CEO Ian Cortage told GeekWire that third-party apps make up as much as a quarter total of revenue across his stores. He's concerned that a decrease in delivery orders could reduce work or stability for his own employees. Hire somebody directly to go do it. You'll have higher profits. Of course, right now it's because Uber and a lot of the other apps, they are marketing companies. That's all they are, is marketing companies. And they decided to allow people to interact with their API as a marketing company. Eventually, hopefully in the future, start to see these companies break up, and companies that have to do delivery have easier access to tools that allow them to market. But we're stuck right now in a world where everybody focus on the one marketing company. Very good at putting the chains on people and making sure they can't go outside of that to market. For restaurants that rely more heavily on apps, this has to be bordering on existential for them, or they will be in the not too distant future. He said, well, they need to pressure Uber. They need to pressure DoorDash. They need to pressure these delivery companies. They don't need to pressure their consumers. And I think I get a lot of I think, but these companies aren't pressuring each other anymore. They stopped. They've all decided that the consumer is the pushover, and so they push all of those costs over to the consumer instead of their companies getting more efficient. Instead of their companies becoming actually more profitable internally, they decide to increase the reach, which rough, especially when it comes to the minimum wage ordinance is the first of several pay-up gig worker protection laws approved recently by Seattle. Other pay-up policies include an ordinance related to worker deactivation process, and a 10-cent per order fee approved in November. That will help fund the implementation and enforcement of the pay-up laws. Seattle also passed a sick leave law for delivery workers last year. The new laws in Seattle coincide with the broader debate over how gig workers should be compensated and whether they should be treated as employees or independent contractors. I think all employees should be independent contractors in modern work. Companies like Uber and DoorDash have long lobbied against legislation that would classify delivery drivers as employees. A new rule announced last month by the U.S. Labor Department could make it easier for independent contractors to be considered employees, which would provide benefits and other protections. The European Union last month reached a deal in December on new legislation that could bolster workers' rights for gig workers in Europe. Seattle will be closely watched as a testing ground for the impact of labor standards in a growing food delivery market, facilitated by tech companies that tout the flexibility and independence offered by their platforms. Gig workers are critical to Seattle's economy. Implementation of these new ordinances further reflect our shared efforts to advance the nation's strongest set of labor standards. The workers have stability and support needed to succeed in our city, Mayor Bruce Harrell said last month. These companies need to have a lot more pressure. Feel a lot more pressure. They're not going to get more efficient until we start pressuring. I think this is where people have stopped tipping. People have stopped tipping because the food industry is toxic. It's terrible. Tipping is like extortion. It's like you walk in there and they're like, "You don't tip, I'm going to spit in your food." Whatever's going on there, that entire industry feels like things are falling apart. They're falling apart because of not falling apart because the world's inefficient and things have to happen this way. But as usual, conflict. Black Tech Night. Seattle stresses the importance of strong community help growing representation. Amazon find utopia in Bellevue. AI in Seattle coming out of stealth mode. Apple or Aptio? Yo? That is. Media CEO to step down. Another e-commerce competitor plants flags. The Amazon backyard is Shane opens Bellevue office. Portland startup expands to Seattle to help cool businesses slash their here. I guess business. Alper says now you haven't stopped tipping, but fuck if you're tipping when you have to go pick up your food and they're all they're doing is preparing it. Lots of people have, man. Not saying everybody is like completely stopped tipping, but we're starting to realize, and I want to point this out as something. When I grew up, a 14% tip was a good tip, a really good tip. Now you go to the systems, they got 10, 15, 20, and 25% tip. This is part of where inflation is coming from. Because even though the price of everything went up, we've slowly crept the amount of tips up over time. Heard, and that could not be, maybe I'm wrong about this, but tipping culture here in North America actually comes from slavery. When they released the slaves, and a lot of slaves were doing manual service jobs for people, give them a few extra bucks. Why? Because you had a lot of money at that. I feel that same thing going on, where, but also too, in reverse, now I go somewhere and they give you the tip option and they look at you, they get a puppy dog, please give me the tip, right? Zero. Unless you've done something exceptional and you're a great person and you've brought something to me or you've gone the extra mile, absolutely, then I'll tip. But there is an expectation, and I'm gonna even argue, and this is like comes off as it is, and way. I'm going to argue it's because North America had tipping culture, and there's so many people here that are not from North America. So what happens when you come over to a country and suddenly you're getting extra money on top of this? You start charging more money. Now, don't get me wrong. North American businesses have realized this too. And that's where they also go, you know what? Yeah, this is okay. People give us more money. That's a good idea. So they encourage it and they encourage it. And then it snowballs. And it's snowballing and snowballing, snowballing to the point where we feel obligated to tip everybody. Feel like we do. It's insane. I go to bloody McDonald's and you go up to the counter and you see the tip option. Like the person across it's never been that way. And they only realized too that they just turn it on their terminals. Every single terminal has a tip option. That's also why we see tips everywhere, because you put it on and you just get free extra money. You just get free extra money, and it's up to the customer, wink wink, the customer to tip. It just doesn't work that way. A culprit says no idea if that was the case, but it's insane to give someone 25%. The fact that that's even an option when you go to a fast food restaurant is unbelievable. It is insane. Again, 14%. I grew up with that number. Strong number. If you really like what somebody's doing, give them 14%. Now I give them 14%, and the person that I give it to, doesn't matter who it is, looks at me like cheapo. So now if I'm gonna be seen that way, 0, 0, 0, 0. A lot of people don't deserve it. They really don't deserve it. And a lot of that money doesn't go to the person that's in front of me either. It's going to the entirety of people that are not, yeah. And having worked in restaurants, I've heard the argument too. It's like, well, go work at a restaurant, you'll see how it feels. Yeah, I worked at a restaurant washing dishes. I've done this before. I've done prep work. Do I deserve the tip in the back? No. I deserve to be paid a little bit more for what I'm doing. Let the waitresses get tipped. Let them earn a little bit less because they're out front making money from extra people. And then we have a perfect society. Everybody's good, and then the good waitresses earn a lot, and the waiters also earn a lot, and the bad ones don't earn much. So, I don't know. It's this artificial redistribution. The tipping culture has just gotten way, way too out of control. It's an artificial inflation of liquidity, I would say. So, all right, let's pop over to reddit.com. Normally I would be, like I say, going to Twitter, and you guys have probably seen me go to Twitter past while. Not gonna happen now. Every single time I go into Twitter, it's literally just adult content. It's not adult content and violence, which, you know, I can totally go in and watch, but not really something I want in my life at the moment. Top posts on Reddit. Warner Bros has refused to offer. Oh my gosh, this. Warner Bros has refused offers to buy Coyote vs. Acme. May delete the film in its entirety. The wrap. The final days of Coyote vs. Acme offers rejections. Acme offers rejections and a Roadrunner race against time. Warner was seeking 75 to 80 million, but rejected offers from Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount. Insiders tell the wrap. In January, Coyote vs. Acme producer Chris DeFaria got a startling phone call from the Warner Bros. Executive. They just want to get this behind them. The executive told DeFaria, they want to close the books. In the words of the Roadrunner, beep. The movie, a live-action animated... What the heck is this? The movie, a live-action animated hybrid that stars Will Forte and the Looney Tunes gang, has been earmarked for demolition on November 9th. But following the announcement that the movie would be cancelled, a firestorm of outrage and indignation erupted. It was heightened by friends and family screening that had already been planned before the cancellation announcement was made. The screening brought more goodwill and an even louder public outcry. What was so exciting is that it felt like the film captured the voice of Looney Tunes that we loved in a way none of the other feature versions could have ever done. Paul Scheer, who was at the screening, told The Warp, the last movie to feature the characters, 2021 Space Jam, was pillared by critics and lost money. Warner Bros., reacting to the hubbub, walked back its initial decision. Instead of canceling the movie outright, the studio would give filmmakers the chance to shop it around. If another studio wanted to pick it up, they could. Now, months later, Warner Bros. Had enough. The call to Defaria made that crystal clear. It was Warner Bros. Discovery fourth quarter earnings call scheduled for February 23rd. Coyote vs. Acme is running out of time. Many on the film's team feel like the studio will use the ending of the quarter to get the movie off the books for good. Coyote vs. Acme is running up against something worse. A tunnel painted into the side of a mountain or a falling anvil will finally be silenced by a movie studio's balance sheet. In a truly inglorious end, a source close to the movie doesn't believe Warner Bros. Would even announce they hadn't found a home for them. They would unceremoniously delete it, never to be seen again. How long is it? We've got some time. Okay. Offers and rejections. Following the death and potential resurrection of Coyote vs. Acme, there were screenings for interested parties. According to several people familiar with the situation, Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount screened the movie, which was received well, and submitted handsome offers. Paramount even proposed a theatrical release component to their acquisition of Coyote vs. Acme that would allow for Warner Bros. To save face and, more importantly, let audiences see the movie the way it had meant to be experienced. Warner Bros. Did not respond for requests or comment from the. But Warner Bros., which stood to make 35 to 40 million on tax write-down, wanted something in the ballpark of 75 to 80 million to buyer. What's more, they wouldn't allow the interested studio to counter Warner's offer. It was take it or leave it situation. One of the other studios didn't even know what they were entering into. Insiders told The War. Information about potential sale of the project goes to Eric Boaza, an actor who provided the voice for several characters in the film. In late December, he felt so optimistic that he shared a photo for the movie. Y'all in 20 behind the scenes, so the noose around the neck was tightening. That looks like a fun image. I'm okay with this. I was a little bit worried when you say live action, but I did see Space Jam. Love Space Jam. It was a fun movie. Super cheesy. Probably not even as good of a movie as my nostalgia says it is, but it was still something fun, and it is for kids. These are kids shows, so potentially I know this is a very well, it is called Coyote versus Acme, which probably is like a lawyer, like a legal thing that they were doing, and they're talking with lawyers, and which I don't know how interested kids would be. But again, a kids movie. Executives skipped the screen. What made the situation even more appalling is that, according to a source close to the project, the four Warner Bros. Executives responsible for making this decision, CEO and chairperson of Warner Bros. Motion Picture Group, Michael DeLuca, Pam Abdi, along with Warner Bros. Pictures Animation President Bill Damashik, an embattled CEO and president of Warner Bros. Discovery, David Slav, haven't even seen the finished version. Zaslav never saw the movie at all. DeLuca and Abdi saw a director's cut, and Damashki saw the first audience preview. Significantly, Coyote vs. Acme was developed by and greenlit by a previous regime. Only executives that worked on the movie that is still at the company is Jesse Ehrman. These executives, who trumpet a filmmaker-first approach, have recently signed big deals with directors like Ryan Coogler, Paul Thomas Anderson, who conspicuously made their deals after the filmmaker-led backlash to Warner Bros. Had been subdued, were apparently prepared to trash a movie they've never even watched. Even so, The reason for Coyote vs. Acme's cancellation remains damnably unknowable, even to those who made the movie. Publicly, Warner Bros. blamed the shifting on a oh my gosh. Period is like publicly, Warner Bros. Blamed the decision on a shifting global strategy to focus on theatrical, and initially indicated it would take the tax write-off on the film, which is based on a New York article by Ian Fraser, 1990. The problem, it seemed, was the movie was not strong enough for theatrical and didn't fit anyone's streaming strategy in the WB. There was a precedent when Warner Bros. Announced that Batgirl, a $90 million superhero movie based on the beloved DC Comics property, would be deleted from existence. A new avenue opened up for the studio. According to a source close to Coyote vs. Acme, getting rid of a wholly finished movie became an acceptable means to deal with the problem. And they weren't sure what to do with the CVA, which originally had a release date later claimed by Barbie. Option to simply disappear was taken, at least for a few days. What makes the situation with Coyote vs. Acme more baffling, that unlike Batgirl, the film constantly received great scores from the test audiences. Several Warner Bros. Executives have gone out of their way to claim that Batgirl was unreleasable. That simply it wasn't the case with Coyote vs. Acme. But Warner Bros. Proclamation that the filmmakers could take it elsewhere was due best. Back when the announcement was made that the movie wasn't totally dead, a source close to the production remembered thinking maybe they'll try to run out the clock. Throughout the process, Warner Bros. Refused to share details with filmmakers about the proposed deals, and Warner Bros. Rejection of those. Everything was captured through a hazy fog of secondhand phone calls and conversations. There were champions of the product for sure, but they couldn't force Warner to properly communicate with filmmakers. Intent is not only to offload Coyote vs. Acme, but to make a profit while doing so. The studio insisted on a price tag that would cover negative cost plus what the movie cost the studio and additional fees that Warner Bros. Had incurred. They made a short-sighted choice based on dismal third quarter projects that a source close to the and reversing the decision to cancel Coyote vs. Acme was simply not possible. Now 90 days later, with the Save Coyote vs. Acme hashtag still present on social media, it feels like the end of the line for Coyote and all of his friends. And bearing similar outpouring of support, or without a big offer in the next few days, that'll that be all, folks. So it does look like the movie is probably on its way out. We'll take a look at the hashtag and see if it's popping up right away. Save Coyote X. People really like the Coyote. It's gonna be all just me, unless I'm missing something. Let's prove a point. Retweet if you'd like to see Coyote vs. Acme in cinemas. It was given a full proper release. We only have 14. I don't think it's coming. I swear, more than half of my Twitter followers now, guys, are all just bots. Every time I get somebody following me, unless it's Dostray, it's like 99% bots. I do want to think. I don't think this YouTube that well. Right here. In our travels through the internet, we found a man, no, a grilled genius who has returned Overwatch to the game we love. Join us on. I think it's just sitting in the water here, which is unfortunate. Analytics. Not bad. 10 hours so far. I don't get this. Actually, not bad. We're getting some slow momentum. Much as I like Resident Evil 5, it is one of the most irregardless offensive examples of a game that uses the infamous sepia filter. Just with it on versus colors. Early on, there was a lot of games that were like this, where they put this crazy filter. I think it was the PlayStation. It was the PlayStation 3 era. So if I was to take up something, big example, they just threw a filter over it. Zone and gameplay.
That should take care.
This looks way Killzone remastered, PS3 HD. Is this really what the game looked like? Crazy how good graphics were for this game. Even oh no, this is This is the original Killzone. You want Killzone 3? I think they got critiqued for this original. Original game.
There will be no. Yeah, I see.
The 4K remastered. I kind of want to play this again. Actually, I'll be fully honest. I think there's a whole PC port. But it was a very beautiful looking game at the time.
Showtime.
I'm getting a little distracted here. A lot of fun. Absolutely a lot of fun. Hawaii Supreme Court coats the wire in ruling on gun rights. And oh, I just background has stopped. Let's find ourselves some more stuff. Probably gonna need copyright for this. I like this track. Hawaii Supreme Court. Hawaii Supreme Court quotes The Wire, an old ruling on gun rights. The thing about the old days, the old days.
We are going to continue this conversation right now and bring in Duke University Professor of Law, Daryl Miller. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you reiterate how significant this ruling is, and how does it clear the way for other potential legal challenges to similar restrictions in other states?
Yeah, so I think without a doubt,
Got some eyes. Jeez, look at that.
this is a blockbuster decision. It's the first decision in over a decade, really, where the Supreme Court has issued a ruling on a major Second Amendment issue. And it has implications for all kinds of regulations, including the recent bill that's been passed by the Senate, in part because of the way that the court instructs lower courts to think about whether something is in fact a Second Amendment right or not, or a Second Amendment violation or not. And that has to do with what's called the text, history, and tradition only approach to figuring out whether something is a violation of the Second Amendment. That has implications not only for New York's law, but for every law on the books today.
So I want to give people a sense of sort of the lay of the land across the country when it comes to these sort of laws. 43 states allow legal gun owners to carry concealed weapons, and half of those do not require a permit. New York and 5 other states made gun owners prove that they had a special need to protect themselves. And you couldn't say, well, you know, I live in the city of New York and there's a lot of crime. That wasn't good enough. What did they have to prove in order to get one of these exceptions?
Right. So the standard as it was articulated in New York was called proper cause. And you had to show some sort of need that was different from just a generalized need for self-defense. So if you carried a bunch of money, if you were under a credible imminent threat of violence, if you were some sort of official that faced some kind of concern about one's personal safety, those were the proper cause standard. And what the court did in this case on that issue is essentially say, you can have a licensing law, but the metrics for figuring out whether to issue the license have to be more objective. They have to be things like, live fire training. They have to be things like restrictions on where you can carry them. The metrics have to be more objective, less discretion for the licensing authority.
So what is, I don't even know what the actual change is right now. Let's dig into this. Possibly I'd turn, let's, here is that. Professionalism, guys. Absolute professionalism. Don't worry about this. There we go. Nice and quiet. Okay. So what are they even talking about? A ruling by Hawaii's High Court says that a man can be prosecuted for carrying a gun in public without a permit. Cites crime drama fire and invokes the spirit of aloha. Parent rebuke. The U.S. Supreme Court decision added gun rights nationwide. That's gonna piss some Americans. Think about the old days. The old days. Unanimous Hawaii Supreme Court ruling issued Wednesday said, borrowing a quote from the season 4, episode 3, the HBO series, to express the culture from the founding of the country shouldn't dictate contemporary life. As the world turns, it makes no sense for contemporary society to pledge allegiance to founding era's culture, realities, laws, and understanding of the Constitution. The 53-page rule says, before citing it go. I'm more worried about this statement than I am worried about the conclusion of the statement. Authored by Justice Tom Edens, the opinion goes on to say the spirit of aloha clashes with federally mandated lifestyle that lets citizens walk around with deadly weapons during day-to-day activities. The ruling stems from a 2017 case against Christopher with a loaded pistol front waistband when police were called after Maui landowner reported seeing a group of men on his property at night. The handgun was unregistered in Hawaii. Wilson had not obtained or applied for a permit to own the gun. The ruling said Wilson told police he legally bought the gun in Florida in 2013. Wilson's first motion to dismiss charges argued that prosecuting him possession of a firearm for self-defense violated his right to bear arms. Second Amendment U.S. Constitution. It was denied. Then, in 2022, a U.S. Supreme Court decision, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Buren, upended the gun laws nation, including in Hawaii, which has long had some of the strictest gun laws, some of the lowest rates of gun violence. Can we just be honest? I'll stop for a second. Can we just be honest to say that some people are trying to take their guns? Right? Like, maybe it's just me, and I know it's overly paranoid in many cases. People would be like, they're trying to take your guns. But they're trying to take, there's actual people out there. My audio is cutting out. I'm not having any issues on my end here. Not seeing anything. Testing. Something going on here? Let me hear myself. We'll hear it one sec. Let me hear myself back. Testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. It's just highly compressed, I think. Because if I look over here. I just need to be more straight up with how I'm talking to the microphone. That is how the microphone should work. I'm just not using it properly. Oh, maybe if I pulled... This is the time, too, to test it, Cole. Might as well. Filters. Threshold. We'll pull the threshold down just a little bit, and the noise gate. Yes, whispering's not working. Okay, so what I want to do then is we got to change this noise gate. Have to change this. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. There we go. That works. Now you can hear me properly. But if you hear it over here, shouldn't be able to hear over here. Yeah, you can still. Yeah, you can hear over there. Damn it! I need to like really mess with this. Filters. That's fine. That's fine. We're gonna roll with that. We're gonna roll with that. Sounds fine now. Yeah, there's certain sounds that I don't want it to pick up. Like I don't want to. I want to be able to go like this, and have you not hear anything. I want to be able to talk like that. But I think you can hear it. But you can still hear it. Yeah, yeah, I can still hear it, no problem. So, you know. I can bring the out game up just a little. Again, there we go. It was clear. Yeah, there's a very small window. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many peppers did Peter Piper pick? All right, we can turn the music on in the background so you guys can hear what's going on again. One. What? 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 We'll keep going through this. I know I missed some stuff, but that's okay. I'm not going to upload this one anyways. I still want to read it because I'm interested. This is really interesting to me. So... Now, here's the thing, too. Why is it not illegal? Oh, that's how many he picked. Yeah, he picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many packs of pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? He just picked a pack. The handgun was unregistered in Hawaii, and Wilson had not obtained or applied for a permit to own a gun, the ruling said. What are these for? What is the permit? What is the registration and permit? Let's actually... Is there, like, gun laws? Gun reviews, gun shows, machine gun, paintball gun, gun talk. I don't trust that. There's nothing laws. lawyer. AI lawyer. What does it mean to have an unregistered firearm in a state? I know it's not really a good question, but it'll give us a direction here. Having an unregistered firearm in a state refers to possession of a firearm without having officially recorded it within the state records. The legal requirements. Legal pen. What's the issue here then? Are they just trying to get him for the gun? Because when you just get him with an unregistered firearm, or unless they're trying to... I'm not really sure here. Like, to me, trespassing with a firearm seems to me like it should be illegal, obviously. Now, there's the unregistered. You get a fine for it being unregistered. But private property doesn't constitutionally protect other people in a way. At least this is the way I think this is how it is. Not 100% sure. Yeah, I don't really know. Impact on background checks. They don't appear in background checks. I'm really confused. Didn't they have this law? How do they already have this law? I guess maybe it's like the first time they've applied the law for getting somebody who have an unregistered firearm, but it makes sense to me that it shouldn't matter. Beck represents 3 Maui residents who are challenged in Hawaii law that prohibits carrying a firearm on the beach and other places, including banks, bars, restaurants. So here, I will point out, beach is a public place. Sure, you can carry a firearm there. Banks are not public places. Can't carry a firearm there. Bars and restaurants are not public places either. Why would you be able to carry a firearm there? A federal judge in Honolulu granted preliminary injunction which prevents the state from enforcing the law. So I guess the state made the law. They're trying to enact the law, but then the defendant is arguing that it goes against his rights. Because states can make laws that go against the constitutional rights. We believe it is misplaced to view today's society, today's public safety laws must look like laws passed long ago, and said, like, isn't it a trope? Isn't it like a Wild West trope of the cowboy comes into the bar and they go, "Excuse me, sir, give me your guns. You gotta give your guns. You're not allowed to have your guns in here." And the guy goes, "Well, I don't think that's very fair. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think I should do that." And the guy at the bar goes, "Well, you know what? Either you give me those guns or you get the fuck out of here." Right? Like that is like a classic situation. I don't know what, maybe I'm just stupid. I just don't know much. I don't know why that's contested in any way. It's not about old laws and stuff like that. Just apply them correctly. Apply them with logic. Edens of the Hawaii High Court wrote, "Smooth bore muzzle loaded and powder and ramrod muskets were not exactly useful to colonial era mass murderers. As life is a bit different now, in a nation with a lot more people stretching to islands in the Pacific Ocean, this does feel like they are contesting the Constitution." Again, the policy, I'm Canadian, guys. So, you see, I don't really have a stake in the game here. Like, but it does feel like they are like directly contesting the Constitution here. And I would argue too that this, where is it? The argument that you can bring them into banks, bars, and restaurants in general is also against the Constitution. Because these places are private businesses. Shouldn't they be able to enforce their own standards? Very weird. Comments are going to be unhinged. So this argument can be used on anything in the Bill of Rights or just the Second Amendment. Armchair lawyers. Oh. Why are these hidden? Very weird. Hawaii has the second lowest rate of gun violence. Well, it's Hawaii. Okay. Everybody's out surfing. Everybody's out, yeah. Oh my god. Wall Street bets. Nvidia can't go any higher, lol. Today, Nvidia announces new chips to double market potential. Airlines. Oh, this is hilarious. Not the Onion. Is this old? Not February 9th, 2024. Culprit, you better be having that push-up set up in the for your stream, or else your stream is when Culprit Con comes along, you're gonna be you're gonna have to buy an extra seat. I'm sorry. No, I don't mean. I mean, okay, I don't mean you're fat right now. I just mean like if they keep feeding you pizzas. Oh, I'm sorry. I had to. That was a low blow. That was a low blow, Culp. That was a low blow. I'm sorry. All right. Airline starts weighing passengers at the gate. Editor's note. Oh, just sign up for. We all know what it's like to have our baggage weighed at an airport check-in. Most of us are also familiar with the crouch of shame, the position adopted when rummaging through a bag to remove something heavy when you've been informed your bag is just ounces overweight. But now, some brave airline passengers are consenting to being weighed themselves before boarding the plane. Some brave airline passengers? In a project by European carrier Finnair and at its Helsinki airport hub, volunteer passengers are being weighed at the departure gate in order to allow the airline to refine weight estimates for planes before takeoff. In a nightmare scenario for anyone who's ever tried to nonchalantly sneak in an overweight cabin bag onto the plane, passengers are being weighed together with their carry-on bags. I'm totally pro this. I'd be, if it decreased the chances of us getting in a crash and increased the speed and efficiency of the plane, I don't give a shit. Luckily for anyone carrying a bulging bag, the weigh-ins are not linked to individual bookings or passenger data. Everything is anonymous. Pavit, was it Tallquist, Finnair's senior vice president communications, told CNN with only staff members at the gate seeing the wait. The trial started on Monday, but Thursday morning, 800 volunteers already had taken part. Tallquist said, adding the airline was positively surprised by the number of volunteers. This actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, it's an engineering feat to get a bunch of people in a plane and fly it somewhere. Of course, the question is, are the costs going to be handed on to the customers? If they don't do this, are these things that increase the cost of flight, or are they things that decrease the cost of flight? And if they decrease the cost of flight, are they actually just taking all the extra profit themselves, or are they putting it back into the company, which they probably are not. They're probably taking all the profit themselves, but it does allow for the price of airline tickets to move just a little bit more if we're able to. Like, I don't know why you just would. I don't know why. I would imagine. Maybe not even. Does the plane weigh itself when you get in? It should, shouldn't it? I know it's obviously smaller airlines. That's not going to be an issue, but Why would the plane not know its own weight before it takes off? They're just like, I guess they're just trying it. I don't know. It's weird. Actually, now that I think about it too, I have done some pilots simulation, not actual training, but I did a whole simulation thing. And there was no weight calculations at all. It was literally just move it forward till the plane goes fast, get it to the speed, and get it in the air. So I guess that's the calculation that they worry about. We've communicated about this survey to Finnair customers via our social media channels and our mobile app, and the first volunteers were proactively asking to take part even before the equipment was set up, she said. They plan to weigh 1,200 passengers for the winter season and more for the summer. Tolkvis said that the airline is collecting data about the average weight of passengers and their hand luggage for the purpose of aircraft balance and performance, calculations that are needed for the safe operation of flights. Heavier in the winter. Finnair is collecting the data from passengers boarding at Helsinki Airport. Airline calculates plane's weight, the weight of everyone on board, as well as cargo and baggage in the hold, and things like catering and water tanks on board. Before each takeoff, along with the center of gravity, the weight and trim of an aircraft can affect where passengers can sit, and in some cases, even how many passengers are allowed on board, and how much luggage can go in the hold. Each aircraft you fly in has a set maximum weight for takeoff, because we're getting too fat. I'm getting too, it's a big stomach, and we are a lot fatter than we were many years ago. While airlines know the weight of all other aspects, the weight of customers and their carry-on baggage is calculated using average weights confirmed by the Civil Aviation Authority, says Tolkvis. Airlines generally use average passenger weights provided by the European Aviation Safety Authority, but they can also use their own signed off by the authorities. Finnair said it has own measurements since 2018, but these must be updated every 5 years. Again, it's because people change weight, like we're getting heavier as a society, so it's good. It means that we're wealthy, but it also just means planes are getting more expensive. Korean Air conducted its own weighing program in 2023, while Air New Zealand also did a weight survey last year. Finnair is collecting data for both winter and summer seasons, since passengers tend to wear heavier clothing and coats during the cold Finnish winters. The winter readings will be completed in February, with the summer ones taken between April and May. They say its airline will calculate an average weight from the measurement taken and will send the data to the Finnish Transport and Communications Agency for verification. The weights will be used for loading calculations from 2025 to 2030. Hey, Ryoku! That name I do remember. Where did I remember that from? Welcome in, welcome in. You are on the Discord, right? You totally are on the Discord. I believe. I'm pretty stupid. I got a really terrible memory, but I remember that name. Ryoku. No, you're not on the Discord. Rust back in the day. You played... oh, yes! That's where I remember it from. You met Prevab originally on Rust, right? And then we played a whole bunch. Yeah, I told... Okay, yeah. How you doing? How did you find the stream? Welcome in. How did you get in here? What's going on? That's a total surprise. Welcome in, by the way. So I'm doing a whole online thing. I actually do I host a bunch of different games. You happened upon it and noticed it. Welcome in, man. Welcome. I do appreciate it. Give me the follow, you know. If you got that Prime sub too, throw some Primes. You know, you're right in. I gotta push you to do it. No. But I'm actually doing a whole online community thingamajiggy, okay? Every single day anyways, I read news. So hey, thank you so much for the follow, dude. Appreciate it. I've been hosting a bunch of different survival game servers. I love Rust, of course, and we've tried Rust, but it's a little bit difficult to get that kind of server going in terms of like consistent group of people. But we got like Minecraft, we've got Power World right now, we've done Terraria, we've got Valheim, we've got Eco, we've got Don't Starve, we've got a whole bunch of different games and a whole bunch of different servers set up, and we do community games pretty much every single week for different things. If you like TF2 also, I'm starting a TF2 Monday section going on. You've been playing Power World and Enshrouded. I haven't tried Enshrouded yet. We're going through the big Power World cycle right now. But you are definitely welcome in. We have a server. I'll say it's from smaller community members, but if you would really like to join them, we have 2 different servers. We have a vanilla server where everything is as default as can be, and then we have like a 20x server where basically you get a significant amount of EXP. The PAL egg spawn rate is almost instant. The PAL capture rate is increased. Day-night cycle has been changed. All that kind of stuff too. So if you want to join us, you're totally welcome. I'm very busy. I'm only a few hours a week right now in Power World, but that's my whole community. Actually, we can pop them up. I think these nerds right now are actually playing Power World at the moment. One's on Terraria. Jack is playing Power World right there. Maybe a few other of them too. So you're definitely welcome in there. Anyways, I don't want to stop and focus too much on this. If you want to chat or something like that too, definitely say talking. Spin, welcome in. How are you doing today? We are starting our day. I'll give everybody the heads up to what we're doing as is. So I'm trying to do some news reads and whatnot because I go through my news feeds anyways. I go through my Reddit feeds anyways. And to start out the day, to get things early before we kind of get everybody in and game, I'm going to be going over stuff on the internet. Right now we're talking about fat people on planes. The good old stomach, you know. Saying that we are you can see airline starts weighing passengers at the gate, which, you know, I'm relatively okay with. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing for the next small bit here. Guys, if you don't know Spin, go check him out. He doesn't stream much, but he should stream more. He should do more music, even though he's dipped his toes into it and feels the whole thing. But I definitely think he should. Also check out Culprid too, guys. He's another excellent, basically a family friend of the stream at this point. Even though I've only known him over the internet, he does a whole bunch of integrations, different games. So definitely check him out. How are you doing, Spin? A little bit later here, I'm questioning. I might do some Overwatch stuff for some 6v6, whatever. We'll have to see. I really not that well planned this week, as much as I am not planned every single week. But there's a lot to it. Anyways. Ryoki, you're a server engineer now. Ooh, you might come on into the community. Look at this. There we go. There's all the links. Check it out. We got our main Scrub Club Discord. Come in and say hi, man. I might have questions for you too. I am not a network. I am not a server engineer. I'm just a dude trying to run a gaming community, trying to run a whole thing, and we have a full server up. I'm running a Ubuntu server. That's where we host everything from. So, yeah. Oh, the white is making my face like bright white, or the light. That's fine. Maybe I'll turn my light on. But welcome in. Like I say, join us. I do a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, and we're a community. So if you have any like opinions about what I'm doing or anything you think that I can work on and get better at, I definitely will take all that kind of feedback. Anyways, so not to get too distracted here, saying hi to old friends, just so everybody knows too, Roku, I used to play a lot of Rust, and he was one of the players that we did some mean things to children with. Yeah, no, I shouldn't phrase it like that. That's a little bit dark, but no, we spent a lot of time raiding bases and building stuff, and it was good fun. Lots of fun there. Maybe, and this is where too, Ryoku, I have like the dream of running a server cluster with a whole bunch of different games for a larger community of people that can just jump in and do stuff. Dump in and do whatever they want. So not saying I'm stealing you to get more information, but that is the goal. It's in a lot of research, a lot of study, a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes, all that kind of good stuff. Anyways, let's go dig through a little more Reddit here. see what's going on. Then we'll pop over to YouTube, see if there's any brand new videos. If anybody wants to share anything too with me, keep in mind, we're not doing a full, this is not like a react stream as much as I am doing reacts. I more of want to like break down whatever news, whatever information comes across my desk here. This is more of like I'll have to have a better stream, an analytical stream or something like that to really define what's going on. Of course, you can see we got new stuff all over the place. So yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go dig through it. Well, through the regular stuff, we'll just continue as is. I know I got totally distracted by you guys. But thank you for coming in, man. I do appreciate it. Spin, also, hopefully you're still lurking. Spin, message me a little bit later. We're gonna game. We're gonna do something. It's Friday night. Woo-hoo-hoo. I want to do Friday nights as a, maybe we can do some more TF2 or something. I don't know. Friday nights I want to do variety game stuff. We'll do a bunch of different random things, but we'll figure it out from there. Because if you, I'll ask too, Spin, have you seen the new Overwatch patch notes? I am very sad. Blizzard does not give a fuck about the game. They do not give a fuck about the game at all. Oh, we got the Destiny subreddit right up at the top of the best. Or, well, no, actually, never mind. We're gonna do hot. That's my best. That's the suggested things. We have Oklahoma judge who sent more than 500 texts during murder trial resigns. Oh, why? Why? One chili is sitting there. I'm gonna hurt myself before I read this. This is hilarious. All right. Let's read this out and see what's going on without dying. Ryoku with the prime too. Yeah, champion. You only got one. You spent it here. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate the support, man. Make sure too that you are connected to your Twitch through Discord, so when you are on our Discord, you get all of the fun perks. I'll try not to get sidetracked again talking about this stuff, but that's where I give people exclusive server access to some of our games and other fun things. So check it out there, man. We're working hard. We are working very hard to build something cool. Culprit has been a great part of it too. So, you know, not to talk him up too much, but you know, he's the best streamer on the internet. I'm just gonna say that right now. Actually, no, well, you know. Just gonna let my headphones charge. One of my headphones charge at least, and then we'll swap. Okay, let's read this out because this is gonna be funny. I got a feeling. An Oklahoma judge who sent more than 500 texts during a murder trial resigns. An Oklahoma judge agreed to step down Friday after she was caught sending hundreds of texts from the bench while overseeing a murder trial in the killing of a 2-year-old boy, including messages that mocked the prosecutors and were sprinkled with emojis. Do we get some? I want to see if we can see some of these. District Judge Tracy Soderstorm, is that it? Soderstorm also agreed not to seek judicial office again in Oklahoma under proposed settlement agreement filed with the Oklahoma court on the judiciary. She had faced removal from the bench over accusations that included gross neglect of duty, opposition in office, lack of proper temperament, and failure to supervise her office. Soderstorm had been scheduled to go on trial in a special court starting Monday. I promise to uphold the Constitution in fair, even uphanded and efficient manner, Soderstorm said in a resignation letter given to local media. I believe that I have done so. However, being a human, I have also faltered. So she didn't learn any lessons. She didn't learn any lessons at all. Oklahoma Supreme Court Chief Justice John Kane, fifth, recommended Soderstorm be removed following an investigation that found she mocked prosecutors, laughed at the bailiff's comments about a prosecutor's genitals, praised the defense attorney, and called the prosecutor's key witness a liar during the murder trial of Kristen Tyler Martzall. Security video published by the Oklahoman showed Soderstrom texting or messaging for minutes at a time during jury selection, opening statements, and testimony during the trial in Chandler, about 45 miles outside of Oklahoma City. Soderstrom, who took office last year, voluntarily suspended herself in October. The judge's text sent during Marcel's trial on charge of killing his girlfriend's 2-year-old son included saying the prosecutor was sweating through his coat, according to Kane's petition. The text described the defense attorney as awesome and asked, "Can I clap for her?" during the defense attorney's open arguments. In all, Soderstrom sent more than 500 texts to her bailiff. Soderstrom also texted a laughing emoji icon to the bailiff, who had made a crass and demeaning reference to the prosecuting attorney's genitals, Kane wrote. Marcel was eventually convicted of second-degree manslaughter and sentenced to time served. Freaking weirdos. What is this world? I imagine it's always been like this. Just somebody who's probably walked through the paces of life, probably hit all the marks, set off quite a few red flags along the way, and nobody had the power to do anything about. So funny, but incredibly sad at the exact same time. What are some of the comments? Yeah, this was a trial about the murder of a 2-year-old child. This is only the drop of bucket she did. She did more procedurally inappropriate things, like refuse to put conversations on the record despite both the prosecutor and defense both agreeing they wanted it. Oh, and she also a pink chair, wanted a pink chair, she made male attorneys sit in and put pictures of them sitting in it up in her office, presumably as some kind of sexism based on power play turnout. Wow, that's something interesting. Okay, well, crazy person. Hopefully should be out of our legal system. But she did resign, and they did say she can't work in Oklahoma. All right, give me 1 second here, guys. I'm just gonna turn the light on. That light on the side of my face is still probably gonna be there, but it'll be a bit nicer now. Okay, Chernobyl's mutant wolves appear to have developed resistance to cancer, study finds. It's gonna be something subtle, I'd imagine. That's not totally consistent, but I'd imagine they have something interesting. Chernobyl's mutant wolves appear to have developed resistance to cancer, study finds. The wolves are exposed to cancer-causing radiation as they roam the wastelands of the abandoned city, with researchers finding part of their genetic information seems resilient to increased risk of the disease. Mutant wolves roaming around the deserted streets of Chernobyl appear to have developed resistance to cancer, raising hopes the findings can help scientists to fight the disease in humans. A nuclear reactor exploded at the Chernobyl power plant in Ukraine in 1986, with more than 100,000 people evacuated from the city as the blast released cancer-causing radiation. The area has remained eerily abandoned ever since, with the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, the CEZ, put in place to prevent people from entering a 1,000-square-mile area, where the radiation still poses a cancer risk. Let's actually take a look at this too. Let's pull up maps. Oh no, wait, not maps. We want Earth. Good old Google Earth. I'll keep reading while it loads. The area has... humans may not have returned, but wildlife such as wolves and horses roam the wastelands of the evacuated city more than 35 years after the disaster. Cara Love, an evolutionary biologist and exotoxicologist at Princeton University in the US, has been studying how Chernobyl wolves survive despite generations of exposure to radioactive particles. Miss Love and the team of researchers visited the CEZ in 2014 and put radio collars in the wolves so their movements could be monitored. She said the collars give the team real-time measurements of where the wolves are and how much radiation they're exposed to. They also took blood samples to understand how the wolves' bodies respond to cancer-causing radiation. Let's actually, so we got Earth up here. And so we know, hey, there's Ryoku. Welcome in, dude. Welcome in. So we know where we're talking about. Let's bring this up. Here we go. Chernobyl. I can probably bring up the whole exclusion zone, but where's the reactor? Chernobyl reactor. Hopefully it gives me the kind of Google setup. This looks populated, doesn't it? Oh no, that is it. That's the reactor right there. That's what we're talking about. Pretty sure nuclear power plant. Yeah, Chernobyl nuclear power plant sarcophagus. They dumped this thing in concrete. And there are some towns and cities nearby, but I'm pretty sure most of this area you cannot enter easily, at least. The researchers discovered that Chernobyl wolves are exposed to upwards of 11.28 millirem of radiation every day for their entire lives, which is more than 6 times the legal safety limit for a human. Ms. Love found the wolves have altered immune systems, similar to cancer patients undergoing radiation treatment, but more significantly, she also identified specific parts of the animal's genetic information that seemed resilient to the increased cancer risk. A lot of research in humans has found mutations that increase cancer risk, with the presence of the variant BRCA gene, making it more than likely a woman might develop breast cancer or ovarian cancer, for example. But Ms. Love has sought to identify protective mutations that increase the odds of surviving cancer. The pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine has prevented Ms. Love and her collaborators from returning to the CEZ in recent years. She said, "Our priority is for people and collaborators there to be as safe as possible." Ms. Love presented her findings at the annual meeting of the Society of Integrative and Comparative Biology in Seattle, Washington last month. Of course, too, we do have the invasion of the Ukraine going on, and this is where, well, a lot of it's actually happening down here, pushing in towards the west from Russia, from Moscow here. Well, I say Moscow, sorry, but out towards this direction. So they're going to have a very hard time actually getting into Chernobyl to get that data again. But that's very, very cool. Of course, evolution doesn't mean that the individual wolves, guys, the wolves are not mutating. Okay? What's happening is the wolves that get cancer are dying, and there's only wolves left that have this gene that stop them from getting cancer or slow them from getting cancer. So it's the survivors that have that gene that are going to pass it on. They have more kids. Those kids die out. Those pups die out. And there's only going to be a few left that have some form of resistance to it. But that is very cool. Nature is freaking crazy, ain't it? Nature is absolutely something else. Just 137 crypto miners use 2.3% of total US power. Government is now requiring commercial miners to report energy consumption. Interesting. We'll have to see. I want to see that number get bigger before it becomes something that I'm reporting on. Because it will get bigger. I got a feeling it will get bigger. And the point is we need more electricity, guys. We need more power. The world needs more power. This shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Auto select. No, that's global offensive news. A daisy tattoo. I really like that. That's very cute. Ooh. Games news. The PS5 outsold the Xbox. Let's give this one a go. PS5 has outsold Xbox Series X and S 2-1. Newly revealed sales data suggests. New sales data suggests the PlayStation 5 may have outsold the Xbox Series XS by roughly a 2-to-1 margin. While it was common knowledge that Sony was outpacing Xbox in terms of console sales, this gives a stronger picture of how two manufacturers compare. According to a slide deck from Take-Two Games, there have been 77 million Gen 9 console sales as of December 31st, 2023. Microsoft does not release console sales data, but in November 2023, PS5 hit 50 million units sold. This would put the Xbox Series XS sales at just under 27 million, depending on exactly how December shook out. It's worth noting here that every Xbox console was sold as a loss as of 2022. It is currently unknown if that is still the case, with PlayStation 5, for example, no longer sells at a loss. Obviously, in the console wars, when consoles are first released, they are always sold at a loss just because they want to get the market out there and they expect to make most of their money up in the games that they sell. But of course, nowadays, as most of us know, the tech industry is not profitable across the board. There are so many companies that are just dumping money into these things that they don't make any money because they're not long-term services or products. So we will see in the future. Obviously, this is something that a lot of other industries have done and dealt with. And obviously, too, it's been very profitable for both Microsoft and for Sony, especially for Sony. We all know back in the days of the PlayStation 3, they did sell the PlayStation 3 at a loss, but it was significantly more powerful than every other console or even most PCs at the time. This information colors a recent report which claimed Xbox first-party games like Indiana Jones and The Great Circle and Starfield should be coming to PS5. Which makes sense too. I'll point out, Microsoft doesn't seem to care too much about the console experience. Microsoft understands that they're a software company and they should mostly be focusing 99% on game software and allowing more people to buy their game software. Microsoft is going to be more like a multi-service version of Steam than they are going to be like Sony. Sony is more like Nintendo, where they want a relatively closed platform and they're going to have specialized hardware to do whatever they're trying to do. Titles like Halo Infinite and Avowed have not been mentioned in the rumors. In response, Xbox boss Phil Spencer announced there will be an update on Xbox's future plans next week. Microsoft also recently laid off 10,000 employees, about 1,900 of which are coming from the company's video game division. Yeah, we know as Blizzard players, as Blizzard game players, that is exactly what happened. I think maybe there's a bit of a breakdown here. No, there's not. Yeah, as we move forward, yeah. Microsoft Gaming and Activision and Blizzard, they're just getting rid of a lot of people. Despite the rumors, there's no indication that Xbox plans to move away from manufacturing consoles, although its strategy for years now has been increasingly centered around things like Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot said on a recent earnings call that Xbox games going multi-platform would likely not have a big impact on the industry at large. For the quarter end of December 31st, 2023, Xbox posted a big boost in sales, thanks to the Activision and Blizzard deal. The sale totaled $7.1 billion. Overall revenue increased, but console sales only went up by 3% during the holiday season. Xbox took an operating loss of $440 million in the quarter. I think this is something that we will see for the next, 20, 30 years. It's been this way for a long time, where hardware, and my prediction too is it will slowly phase out as more hardware companies come out with much cheaper processes for making hardware. But we'll see less and less hardware that is exclusive to certain consoles. We already see this with the PlayStation just basically being a smaller PC, and it's using a lot of off-the-shelf parts, not necessarily off-the-shelf chips. Actually, I'll say it's using, as far as I'm aware, it's using off-the-shelf chips. Whereas in the past, like I say, with the PlayStation 3 especially, they were making specific hardware. Same with the original PlayStation, that was Sony making very specific hardware for their systems. But as other hardware companies get better at creating computers, it's going to be much cheaper for companies like Microsoft and Sony to just outsource it. And then they realize, of course, everything can play everything anyways, and they kind of open up their platforms from there. That's the hope. That is very much the hope. I just need to grab a glass of water, everybody. I will be back in just one moment. Nothing you're interested in right now, anyways. All right, I am back. Delicious, delicious water. Hey, Bitcoin is at 4,000 or 48,000. Man, we are spiking. And literally 9 hours ago it was 47,000. 3 hours ago 48,000. Woo! To the freaking moon. Yeah, let me take a quick peek at something here, guys. All right. Do. Rick, why is it hands down? This is the best moment in the entire series. When I actually found this is like the worst moment in the entire Rick and Morty series. It's false. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old and grumpy. Because this was just an appeal to anger. That's what I don't know. Just wasn't a, I don't know, it just wasn't a very impactful moment. Definitely wasn't a very impactful moment for me. Okay, let's switch headphones here. Come on, connect. Come on, connect headphones. Let's do this. There we go. And then we're going to give the other one time to charge. Does it disconnect? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Well, looks like we've gone over all the kind of major tech and internet stuff for today. Let's go pop over to YouTube and see if there's anything that stands out for today. Should switch my account. Overwatch 2 to... Oh, what's going on here? What is going on? Let's take a look. Flats.
Internal error. We're upset too.
Okay, well, we're off to a good start on this video. All right. We'll see. Oh, I know Flats likes his clickbait. He definitely has a lot of clickbait, so we'll see what this is.
Internal error. We're upset too. That is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Dude, I thought yesterday was Aaron's director's take, but I guess it wasn't. But today is Aaron's director's take. Building on feedback. As many of you know, 2 weeks ago there was a series of changes made to the Overwatch team.
Oops.
As well as other teams across Blizzard. Of course, he's referring to the layoffs. Writing a public blog is difficult in wake of these events. I want to express gratitude for the absolutely amazing people who worked on our game that are no longer on our team. I want the community to feel informed, and I want to convey our excitement about what is to come in Season 9.
I'm going to immediately critique Blizzard out of the gate here, which I think a lot of us have this same problem. They always say, we are going to. They never give us a plan for what they're doing. They are going to say, they say, we are going to increase independence and counterplay in Overwatch. What do? They make it so you have to depend on the team more. Like with the one tank. They reduce counterplay. All you're doing is now it's counterpicking instead of counterplay, right? They said they're going to fix a lot of competitive issues and make people enjoy it and all these kind of promises. They don't actually say what they're going to do. Now, of course, with the new changes, with the new competitive setup where you can see how much you're winning and losing, it's a good thing that we have transparency. But that's probably the only positive, transparent plan that I've seen Blizzard execute in their game. So far, it's like they're like, we're gonna make the game better, and we're like, how? And they're like, we're gonna make the game better, and we're like, how? And they're like, well, it's gonna be better. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's a lot to balance. But one of the things, I see what they did there. I said one of the things we've been most proud of is how we've kept lines of communication open between the team and the community. And we intend to continue that. That's true. It does
intend to continue what? This is lip
sort
service.
of blow though. Yes, they've been communicating more, which is great, but they still feel like in a lot of ways like old slow Blizzard about so many things. Like, it's great because they're actually making changes now, and they're trying to swing the bat. They're trying to make aggressive changes, whether you agree with them, whether you disagree with them. Because, hey, let's be honest here. I think we all know there's things I definitely agree with, and there's things I absolutely don't fucking agree with, which is everyone's right to have an opinion. But the fact that they step up to the plate and they try stuff, and if it doesn't work, they're trying to start walking it back. That's very different from old Blizzard, which is good.
Have they walked it back? This is where I'm sorry, and I don't think Flats will ever watch this, but if he ever does, I feel like Flats plays the two-side thing, not really, he follows what they say, and doesn't really listen, or he gives them credit for things that they say. Okay, that's not going to... Again, he's fully critical on the things that they do. I love Flats. The reason why I love watching Flats is because his issue a lot is very particular. It's very smart. It's kind of well laid out. Better laid out than I can do it. But Blizzard will say things like, we're improving communication. And he goes, yeah, they are. But without any verification on that. It's a little bit...
It takes so long for stuff to happen. And how we were even talking about semi recently when I was watching the old Seagull video on how when Overwatch was really good a couple years ago, when they started making a bit of a comeback during the Overwatch 1 was when there was more consistent patches. It was patches every 2 weeks, and then they put that away to go back and work on Overwatch 2. I think they're probably going to figure it out in the next couple months that they're just too slow on on the small stuff, right? And they put a lot of effort into those little shitty events and I say shitty lovingly because I understand they're fun for people, but for me, I just personally just don't like them.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Like the Orisa, where they're fighting in the fucking arena on the new Flashpoint map, right? I don't care about those emotes. I'd rather have consistent little patches or balance updates to keep the game fresh, shake it up, make everybody viable. But you got to give them credit. Communication has been so much better in the last couple years, so they're right. In that spirit, yesterday we shared these exciting changes, which we covered. If you haven't seen that, that's over here. Probably go watch this. You are going to experience with competitive... Sorry. So some changes you're going to be experienced with competitive starting in Season 9. I'd like to take a bit more insight into why we are making these changes. In our previous Director's Take, we talked about improving the game's core PvP experience. There are different ways that we are looking at improving the game, but one of the biggest is listening to your feedback, which is very good. Season 9 starts in less than a week.
But what are they doing? We're not having any actionable statements. I really want to focus on actionable statements. Blizzard has not given us any actionable statements.
And the two biggest and best changes coming to this season, and a lot of it is driven by feedback from you. our players, along with our team's vision, to make the game more fun and challenging for everyone.
Which is scary too, because players are not designers. There's a lot. Oh man, I'm done. What the heck? Like I swallowed some water. Oh, what the heck? Oh, I'm dying here. Swallowed something down the wrong tube. We'll just keep playing it, but like, yeah, it's all just lip service.
First is the reworked competitive system, and there is a lot of improvements to rank transparency, new skill tiers, and new competitive rewards. We started talking publicly about this in September. We referenced this in a video that summarized many of the problems that existed with the current system. Some of these were updates.
So for competitive, this stuff is really good. This is
it was difficult to understand why a player ranked up or down and by how much. Some divisions like GM1 had players with too large a skill range in them. That's why a lot of people would say people were boosted in GM or freshman GMs.
Sorry guys, we'll get into the heck. Ugh. Well, I just swallowed something that just like killed my voice. Oh, we'll keep watching and I'll try and figure this out.
And people got really upset and they'd be like, "Oh, like you're just gatekeeping. You're being like an elitist." It's like, no, like this is true. Now that we can look back, like you can there's actual proof, there's evidence that they were right. And golden weapons no longer appearing. Or sorry, golden weapons no longer appealing. Really quick, I want to throw this in really fast, because I saw a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. This yesterday was shared, and there was someone who I don't know how people really got that confused. I guess red arrow mean bad, but so specifically this change right here of expected, you were favored and you won, and they red arrow.
Yeah, people get like, what the heck is that?
Lose points for winning a game? No, genius. Like, it's gonna look different on a bar like this, but like what would happen is, let's say this bar says plus 20%.
How would you get?
Right?
You're gonna get a reduced amount.
You're gonna win plus 20%, but because you were favored to win, you lost 3%, so you only went up plus 17. Right? So the idea of like this shouldn't be red. It should be like yellow or something like that, just to give people, because red mean bad. Basically, was the whole point of it was, if you win a game but you were supposed to win, you'd win less points. I wanted to just throw that in really quick because a lot of people seemed confused yesterday.
And this is where the difference between like the old Blizzard and new Blizzard matter. Old Blizzard would not allow for the players to be confused whether or not something is red or green. They just wouldn't. They just wouldn't even put it in. That's one of the reasons why they didn't include all the extra information. So it is good that they're going to go these ways. And what I'm going to predict this right now, there's going to be a lot of people complaining about how janky these systems are. 100%. And in the future, if these janky systems end up creating another game of the year, like if Overwatch ends up getting back to its peak, then these janky systems, people were going to complain about them, which is one of the reasons why we lost one of the tanks in the first place. So it's a weird rinse and repeat cycle within the gaming Overwatch community, especially. Devs introduce something fun, they introduce something good, people complain about everything, they take a little bit away, they take a little bit away, then they take everything away all at once.
Let's continue with why they're making these changes. Our top goal with this rework is to make the system easier to understand. The old system hid too much information from players and gave it to them too infrequently. This is why we're updating your rating after every match, as well as including additional information through modifiers and why your rating went up or down a certain amount. Including the division range of all the players on the versus screen is another way that we're trying to give you more information about a particular match. So this is all really good. They're absolutely spot on, but I already see a small problem with this system, and it's only going to be for top level players.
Okay. I was gonna say, if he starts complaining about people being confused by the system, I'm gonna be salty, but we'll see what he says.
Again, there's no numbers tied to it. It's like, from what we just saw, like I showed you the thing before, it's all percentage based. So I wonder how it's gonna look when your top 500 say, like, how far is it to get to the next rank in top 500? Maybe top 500 isn't the new thing anymore. Maybe it's the champion, right? Maybe the two don't care about top 500. Maybe they care more about champion rank now.
Which is really silly. Like, that's called title inflation. Top 500 should be top 500. But the reason why top 500 is complaining about top 500 not being top 500 is because the game is garbage.
I'm ranked 300. How much is my difference between me and rank 299 or me and rank 200, right? Like, I don't think the system is going to be able to show that, at least from what I've seen.
It will. It absolutely
and that
will.
Is definitely still very concerning, because it doesn't, you know, for top level players who are the hyper competitive, it's going to be like, you know, like it might, I don't know. We still have to see how it totally looks in game, but I have a bit of a concern about that. Regardless, though, this is amazing for the other 99.9% of players. So still really good. It's only going to be like a top level problem. So for most people, don't worry about it. With this system being easier to understand, players will have more incentive to get better and climb the ranks. That is the hope. We'd like players to have this incentive and the opportunity to earn new rewards. Competitive points will now be awarded more consistently, as opposed to a large drop at the end of the season. I think I like the drop at the end of the season too, though.
The drop at the end of the season was
cool.
nice, but do we still get like 2 or 3 coins or 2 or 3 whatever after every single win? I can't even remember if we do or not.
And you can use them to unlock the new Jade weapons. There's a whole new incredibly exclusive tier above Grandmaster. Oh, so there's also a new There's also a whole new incredibly exclusive tier above Grandmaster called Champion,
which makes it not top 500
We've already started
anymore,
receiving
so,
feedback
yeah.
on the system, and we're planning a
Grandmaster,
series
they're
of
removing
improvements
top
giving
500.
more information about player skill in a match, allowing players from different
And I imagine
divisions to play with
Champion is
each
going to
other.
be like the real top 500. So this is actual inflation. This is actual inflation, okay, where they've decreased the barrier to hitting Grandmaster, so they have more people in Grandmaster. So the new champion is the old Grandmaster. It's the same thing. There's no change at all in the system. We're just adding an extra title to make it feel like there's one more step up.
They're more easily, and improvements to the top 500 experience. Yeah, so that's what I was just speaking on. I think they already know that that's going to be a problem, and they're trying to get ahead of the game and talk about it early. But like, basically, it seems like for what they're saying is like, we understand it's a work in progress. Some of these should start rolling out in the middle of season 9 and continue consistently after that. Hey, that's pretty good. Hopefully the thing I was just talking about is also in that. I'm going to be honest. I am very pleasantly surprised that what I was talking about at the beginning is I'm finding it halfway through here, because I didn't expect that. Season 9 will also include a really large set of exciting changes to the overall gameplay of Overwatch, not just in the form of balance to heroes, but in some of the core mechanics of the game too. These changes are meant to address a few common topics we hear from the community.
And this is where we're getting into the patch notes where people are really frustrated, where we're actually removing Overwatch, and this is the difference between people that care about the game versus people that just care about the intellectual property. Okay, Blizzard only cares about the intellectual property. They do not care at all about the game itself. They will easily abandon anything competitive, especially too since they're kind of hurt. They're a little bit butthurt about their baby, which was the Overwatch League, which everybody knew was going to fail. Everybody knew it was going to go under. Everybody knew it was a mess. Everybody knew it wasn't profitable. And so they're just going to like hide all of their previous mistakes. That's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to hide everything.
Make shooting feel better and more consistent, reduce the effectiveness of both burst damage and
get rid of what we love, because they want a whole new market
agency
in
and
it.
securing
And you have to think too, your game is just a platform. It's just an engine, and you can easily repurpose an engine for a full new thing. This is, of course, new in the gaming industry for Overwatch to completely abandon all of its core principles, all of its original core principles for a whole new market. But that is what they're doing right now.
We've made changes to address each one of these. We've added health to all heroes in the game in order to reduce the reduce the effect of burst damage, as well as reduce the number of heroes that can effectively one-shot each other. In addition, we've made most of the projectiles in the game slightly larger, which makes it easier to land shots on other players. This was partially done to compensate for the health increase, to spread damage out and make it feel more consistent. Additionally, Overwatch is a fast-paced game. Our heroes are incredibly nimble, and landing shots can feel inconsistent. He's not wrong with that, but I would argue that in a lot of ways, like, movement is a skill in the game.
Such a bad idea.
So I wonder how much of this will affect something like good movement, you know? We've also added a new passive to the damage roll that decreases healing done to players that they've damaged recently. The idea here is to give damaged players an increased ability to secure kills, as well as mitigate the abilities of support heroes to keep targets alive. This should also give damage heroes an advantage when facing off against supports. Interesting, it's against supports too, because the first thing I think of is enemy DPS who are pocketed, right? Or I guess even supports that are pocketed by another support. There is something very interesting that Aaron notes in here, is that it seems that they will have to use their abilities to probably keep each other alive. So for example, Suzu, because there was a lot of times you didn't even have to Suzu somebody if you were pocketing them. You could just keep...
I'll even point out, this buffs Suzu. This buffs Immortality Field. Why? Because you're nerfing survivability. You're nerfing the ability to heal people in the middle of a fight. So because they're bringing that back, we're going to see things like Immortality Field and Suzu become way more powerful. Like, they're actually increasing the power of the things that the higher elos don't like, which is
healing them through the damage, and you'd be fine. And if they really hit some good shots, maybe then Suzu them. But
something I think nobody's considering just yet is I don't see any ultimate number changes. I don't see any ultimate number changes. I got a really hard feeling. Now, I've seen this a lot. We've seen this in the past where, let's say you're playing on Numbani and you're pushing up into that first little point, and there's a little tiny choke as you go up into the catwalks. Usually, you can get an ultimate out first fight before anybody else dies. You used to be able to easily get it out before anybody dies. And we did see a flat ult nerf across the board, I think more than a year ago. Probably a little bit more than a year ago, we had a flat ult nerf across the board. Maybe actually longer than that. I don't know, I'm getting old. But this hasn't changed. We have more health pools, and things are now going to be easier to hit. We're going to see a lot more ultimates. We're going to see a lot more ultimates. That's the big feeling. Jack says, servers down. Timed out after a few seconds every time. Let me do a quick check here. Welcome in, Jack. How you doing, man? Let me... Oh, you guys shouldn't see that. That's okay. Nope, server's not down. Server is performing correctly. Let's thank you for the follow. I can't see, probably Jack following, but that's okay. 29015 and then enter password. Oh, it just reset. Oh, now I'm seeing this. Very interesting. As soon as I connected, it started a reboot. I'm pretty sure it has to do with some of the increased settings. I'm pretty sure. 1 second. Let me just bring up chat so I can see you here. Hey, thank you. Oh, sub, dude. Kiri, thank you so much, my man. Thank you so much. I gave it a manual reboot. Let me try and connect and take a look and see if it does it again. Of course, I got Alt F for that. Let's close this. I have a feeling it's one of those... Yeah, it just did it again. It just did it again. I do think, Jack, it has to do with the settings. There's something in there in the configs. Unless... Let me do a quick reboot of the other one. Oh, I can't even... Whatever, bring it over here. See, that's yours right here. It's critical nonsense. Why is it quitting? Well, sorry guys, we're gonna take a few seconds here just to figure this out really quickly. And we're just watching. There's the image up to date. Existing. Requesting with exit. Server marked as stopping. I got a feeling it's part in the config there, Jack. Give me 1 second here. Let me drag him over. Hello, hello.
Yo, I sent you a new one.
All right. Okay, I'll load that one in. I
Midnight
like
cycle back to normal. I assume that's probably the biggest change.
that might actually be it. Because yeah, something is. The other server's running just fine. And they pretty much have the exact same resources. This is very weird. Because every time you guys try and connect, the server starts to reboot. Okay, just one moment. Let's take a look. Let's do this. Let's do this. Where is... Did I just close the... I did totally close the game.
Oh, wait, actually, let's try this.
And let's load in these settings. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Copy this sucker. Save. Then we go over to the server. Reload, copy, files. PAL saved, config. World settings. God brings up on this. I can bring up on stream. PAL world settings at INI. Paste those new settings in. Save content. Boom. And failed to load. What's going on here? saved. Crash info. No? I will have to take a look at the crash info and everything a little later. If this doesn't get it up and running...
If that doesn't fix it, we can just revert back to what it was yesterday.
I will have to take a look at that a little later then.
You want to just put in yesterday's code then? I can give it to you.
Just give me a second. I don't know what we haven't verified that this is the issue, right? So Power World settings. Join multiplayer server. Recent servers, can I do that?
I'm still showing 3 of them.
There's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the quick reboots. Garage.ca 29015. Yeah, I just did it again. We can try the we'll try the old code.
Okay.
And then if not, I'll take a look in like an hour or so. And I gotta do some actual looking. Because yeah, it's not this is like a coding thing from Pal World that's causing this issue. Because there's no performance things, and I would have a there's like a tag that comes up that will tell me when the server's actually like crashed because of hardware or because of performance limitations, and none of that.
Well, what we changed was that your character stays existing, and then reduced the egg timer dramatically.
Now, I'll just go grab the old config. I can just scroll up a little bit.
Well, I mean, I can give you this one right here.
Sure.
That's got the double speed only on nighttime. I returned the character existence thing and then moved the egg timer up a decibel.
Now I will give you the small heads up that this could be world corruption.
Oh, well, I mean is what it is.
It could be. I'll have to take a look into it later here. Let's just stop that. Kill it. Go away. Done. Yeah, this will be one last try, and if it still doesn't do it, then yeah,
if that code doesn't work, I've got plenty of other games I've been ignoring until you can look at it.
All good. All good. Power World settings at I. Paste those in. Save. Console. And start. Validating. Cannot open share. Any issues? No errors. Existing per process limit. Soft. Hard is enough. Yeah, can you give it a login? See if you can get in there.
There's only 2 of them showing now. That's progress.
I think either one should work.
Yeah, I mean, there's no difference when you look at them.
Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash.
Okay.
Yeah, it crashed again.
Sadness.
Steam servers, yeah. Server exited without error. Okay.
Yeah. You just load in yesterday's code then if you want.
Well, we'll take a look. I don't even know if that's gonna fix it, right?
Okay.
Like, yeah. I'm not gonna. I'll try not to explain the whole thing, but yeah, possibly this could be a world corruption. That the world itself is just like died.
Okay.
especially too since we are on well, this is all like pre-release software, so
Yeah.
it's just really hard for me to say. I know that it's just not performance issues right now. Like we have more than enough. So, all right. I will. I'll send you a little message later, Jack, with that and figure it out from there. All right.
Gracias.
Now get the hell out of my voice.
I'm
chat.
leaving.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep watching this.
This seems like it will, like, you will then have to use your Suzu to save your teammate, you know, which then I guess has an effect where you will be using it more often, which means that they can't just sit there and hold their Suzu for 6 minutes because they're waiting for a Junker Queen ult, and like you can't force the use because your healing's so good. Like it forces the player, the support player, to use the cooldown sooner, which gives you an opportunity to then capitalize it on a play, which, you know, honestly, that theory makes a lot of sense.
He is right. I don't think it'll happen that way.
I didn't think about that. Aaron's kind of cooking there. This is an impressive set of changes that will shake up the meta in all sorts of thrilling ways. The team will be following the launch of Season 9 very closely and planning on doing quick updates based on what we see and the feedback that we get from all of you. Speaking on feedback, there are a few other systems that players have been talking about recently that we'll respond to in a future Director's Take and blog pieces this season. The first is our Quick Play Hacked event, and we'll have more updates in the weeks and months to come.
People hated
Can't wait
Quick
to share
Play
our
Hacked.
thoughts on those with all of you.
They hated it.
On the Overwatch
response.
team, we end our weekly meetings by saying, let's make a great game. It's a recognition that everyone on the team has the ability to influence.
This is what I hate. I hate this comment. Let's make a great game. First off, screw off. That doesn't mean anything at all. Literally doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean nothing without action. Also, it shows they don't want to make Overwatch a great game. They just want to make a great game. They are completely abandoning the original game. They're doing a whole new set of whatever the heck they're doing on here. It's very unfortunate.
Better. We've always worked to incorporate feedback from all of you.
No, I would like to say, let's make Overwatch the greatest. No, they said let's make a great game. Just a great
it's fitting
game.
that in light of all the changes we've been making to our
Sucks.
game, based off of all the feedback we hear, that we start including all of you in our team's pledge. Thanks for reading. Let's make a great game. That's kind of a sweet way to end that. I like this one. This is a pretty good one. I like this one a lot.
I think it's weak,
one of
Flats.
the foremost concerns.
You notice how he's fallen again to what they're saying they will do,
ranked,
not really giving us what they are doing.
Since they've announced it, the whole top 500 thing, they addressed it. Talked about there will be changes at mid-season, which is fine. I think that there's probably going to need to be more adjustments anyways. Like, it's hard to know how a system like this that is so big and so core to the game will work before it's released. So I'd rather them just release it and then fix it and like make adjustments than like try to make it.
Flats, they don't. They've never fixed it. They've never gone back. They've never, ever at any point in time rolled back any of their changes that were terrible for the game. I don't know why. This is, again, like, Flats is falling for what they're saying and not what they're doing. And he does talk. It's weird because he talks a lot about what they're doing. But when they say this kind of stuff, it's like, oh yeah, we totally believe. I just don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Like, what happens if we end up having to wait another season? Like, that would be terrible. So it sounds good. Sounds good.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Looking forward to seeing more of it.
Sounds stupid.
Good blog. Good blog. Excited to see next week.
Very emotional blog. Very emotional blog. Pro BAP techniques you didn't. Okay, 3-minute video. We'll take a look.
Any tips for BAP? Yeah, I got you. All right, so a good BAP.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? It's the question. What is his rank? Whatever, we'll watch it.
Do this. So I'm just holding. I'm not alternating hands or anything. I'm literally holding both buttons down, and you always get 2 shots before you get a thing in.
Okay.
All right. You can literally like just be doing this, and it will cycle. But I like to start with the heal and then hold the damage button too. Even if I'm like, you know, like fighting in a choke and I have like a Reinhardt in front of me,
I'll give him
do
points
It's
for
gonna
making a
give you
video.
just huge value even when you're just like standing behind your
But
Reinhardt or any
holding
tank for
both
that matter.
buttons is not-
Second thing, our Emort.
Pro tip.
So you see where my grenades are landing? Where my grenades are landing is actually going to be exactly where your immortality field lands, okay? So your immortality field lands exactly
standard.
Immortality will land the exact same spot. So right now we're hitting the sniper, and if I throw in my immortality field, apps that play far away and are doing this constantly.
Whoa,
Okay, so you guys don't know, or may not know this. Have you ever been
What
like
rank is this
standing
guy?
here and you're like, dang, I really want to go give this guy right here a ultimate, but I don't.
He's on the grind. That's fine. I'm not trying to rank shame him or anything. Let's take a look. He's a master, bro. You're masters. Why are you giving out like tutorial level instructions? What's going on?
Want to come out here because this is a bunch of open space. Well, you can stand right over here, and if you tap Q again, it swaps it, so now you can actually, you know, shoot the thing. So it's kind of like a Mei wall, if you guys have ever played Mei. Okay? So you hit Q to activate it, and then you hit Q again, and it swaps it. Yeah, you just hit Q, and then whenever you think it's good, you build it. Doesn't really matter, but your jump does stay around a little bit longer, so you can use it even if you're not crouched anymore, and you'll still get that jump. Regen burst heals more the lower your team is. So
This is just like tutorial stuff.
Rather than you
This is not bro.
miss
Bro.
the head hitbox.
Bruh. God, I've been loving TF2 lately, guys. TF2 has just been such an absolute freaking blast. Like, playing TF2 again makes me miss the way Overwatch was with Overwatch 1. It could... The fact that when you're going into a fight, you have a certain amount of resources, and you have to make sure that your resources are all there and that you're efficient with them, and if you get hit, it's a waste of your resources, and if you get hit early, you have to go back and get yourself set up, and you have to replan with the team, and you have to work around your supports, you got to work around your medics, and you have to plan a forward attack all at once, because if your supports are taking extra damage, then they're not, they're not going to last as long. Instead of actually now they just sit behind you and just live forever. I don't know. It's the infinite complaint about, I just love TF2, man. TF2 is such a good game. Okay. I do think that's most of the major news for today. We can check the gaming section of Reddit just to make sure. I know we've been going over some YouTube videos, but there's really not so much on YouTube right now. We are going through a content drought. It is a big content drought. All right. So, I think I'm actually going to call it here. Because we kind of hit the end of everything that's really important. I will be on a little bit later for gaming. I do have to switch up all my setup. This is more of my newscast setup for now, guys, just to kind of get things going. But we will jump into some games. I'm not sure what we're gonna play. We're gonna play something. We'll get something together with the group. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for coming out. I will see you all at least on. Well, I'll see you all later, but possibly Sunday for Sunday Scraps. Appreciate you guys. We'll do a quick raid out to somebody smaller too. Might as well too. While we are here, we'll pull it up. Who do we have? Who do we have that's streaming right now? Do we have? Let's go raid out to that OV guy. All right, I love you all. I'll see you later. Have a great one.